Hi guys, welcome to VALORANT News. Champions continues more massive results over the last 24 hours or so. Big reaction though to the Sentinels defeat in the first round to Gen.G. Gen.G move on to play Heretics in the second round. Sentinels will play FBX in a couple of days to try and keep their tournament hopes alive. FNS though is not convinced their slump is ending anytime soon. He's been in these situations before. He believes that Sentinels have a really tall order if they want to turn the end of their season around. Very much into your thoughts in the comment section below because lots else to discuss today. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Heretics, of course, this was them getting ready for yesterday's game. A fascinating game at that, it's got to be said, between them and FBX we shall discuss here over the coming minutes. First of all, though, bit of drama between Chet and Ardiis. So, of course, former coach-player relationship when Ardiis was on NRG. Chet was there as the coach, and it was pretty funny yesterday. They orchestrated a bit of a back and forth with Ardiis and Chet both tweeting out pictures of each other at the same time. This is the one that Chet did. This is the one that Ardiis did. So, pretty funny stuff. Chet then continued and said goodnight later in the day with something such as this. But the big talking point between these two guys really was around Bilibili Gaming, who, as I'm recording, are currently in action up against Fnatic. And as Ardiis says, if Bilibili beat Fnatic, I will go bold live on the stream. But actually, there was a clip associated with this as well, where he gets the trimmers out and says, yeah, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm absolutely ready to go. It's all coming off, assuming that, yeah, basically Fnatic lose to Bilibili, of course, because famously, that's what happened to NRG and the World Championship last season. Chet says, look, you were supposed to be bold 5 centuries ago. Durka then comes in and says, hang on a second, right? Like, you know, you're putting the pressure on seriously, feeling kind of sick right now. This also I thought was pretty cool as well. So Optic Gaming, who of course were in VALORANT for quite a while. When franchising came around, they didn't make it. There's been various discussions as to why they didn't make it, exactly how they managed to botch their entry effectively. But in the end, they didn't make it into franchising. Optic then split up, went their own ways. The feeling was that even if they had made it to franchising, that team was not long for this world anyway. They were going to make some changes. Someone was going to depart. But of course, that's what happened. It was Envy, then it was Optic, and then they no longer exist in VALORANT. But there is some potential indication they might be looking to come back. Of course, Dashi, who is on their Call of Duty team that just won the World Championship a couple of weeks ago. He's a big VALORANT fan, plays it a lot at a very high level indeed. Even he's mentioned in the past if he ever retires from COD, he might go and play VALORANT competitively. So Optics seem to be at least hinting maybe a return to VALORANT is on the cards. If they were to do it, they'd have to go through challenges, which I just don't see them doing. I think the more likely option is if a team was to win Ascension, they could potentially, you know, buy out that team in the same way as what happened with G2 last year from the Guard. Like maybe that's Optic's way back in as it was G2's way back in some sense. So that's, I guess, a possibility to keep your eyes on there. But they're hosting a tournament for it on console, right? So I think this is going to be very exciting indeed. But definitely people are talking about what that means for Optics may or may not potential return be to the VALORANT world. Now, this was that FBX versus Heretics series. An absolute banger, by the way. This was, in the grand scheme of things, such an important round here from Rians. Like, at this point, he's only, you know, they're on an eco, right? He's only got a classic in hand. They're down 6-7, and Rians comes through, and I mean, I don't know how my brother isn't getting this kill, but I mean, you gotta say, one of the more remarkable rounds that you're gonna find. The headshots come through, he thinks he's got the kill, he doesn't, hits the Thrifty, a big time one. That goes 7-7, and in the grand scheme, that was a massively important round. Look, FPX, I feel horrible for these boys, because every single tournament for some reason, they just play the best teams. Like, they've found themselves in the group of death, it seems, again. And look, I think they're a really solid roster. They seem to perform well against like everyone they play against. And this was a match that they'll feel like, wow, we could have won. Heretics didn't play at their best. Of course, Woot said that he was going to be the top man, really, just leading it up here in terms of being a demon. What did he say? Like, if this is the group of death, I'm going to be the serial killer or something. And then Mini Boo, who, of course, has been touted as well. The Neon meta potentially coming into play, really solid on those agents. Of course, they brought him back in after having the Patty Tech team before when he wasn't able to make it for Shanghai. He's not exactly been spectacular since he's returned, so I think other teams will look at Heretics and say, you know what, they are more beatable than maybe they initially appeared, but they are pretty icy, right? And this is the key point. The Abyss went 12-12, Heretics won the overtime, Rians had a massive map 1. Bind, though, was 13-9 to FPX on the pick of Heretics, so that's potentially quite a telling one. Autumn on the Chamber was pretty cool to see, and then Lotus then, another remarkable overtime where Rians is the best performer of the day again, and it is Heretics to get over the line 13-15 in their favour. So what a way to win a series. They will move on, of course, to play Gen.G to decide if, well, which team makes it as the number 1 seed from the theoretical group of death. But of course, the Gen.G team advanced because they took down Sentinels, and Zelsis, as he says, those guys are insane. They always win the first one, as happened back at Madrid, and then Sentinels bounce back, but clearly Sen aren't in the same form now that they were before. So just wanted to share really a couple of comments on this. Sassy actually talked about it a bit. He talked about their meta. Basically, they changed their default on their attack, and he said after the game that maybe he felt like changing it was not a good idea. He also actually said here, I thought it was quite interesting, talking about the texture clutch. After that map, we noted that we needed to be more confident and to trust ourselves. It's like we were playing like kittens, you know? We're playing to hide instead of shooting their heads. I hope after this series, we're going to wake up for our next match. I think that kind of goes both ways, because part of it is that you're not as confident as you need to be, therefore you're playing a bit scared, which, especially in a game like Valorant, especially against a Pacific team that play very aggressively, you can't afford to be scared. You know, you're going to get caught off guard big time. They're going to shoot you in the head if you don't try and shoot them in the head, and this is kind of the point that he's making. But also, I think it comes down to the opposition as well. Like, when you know you're playing a team that you're not favoured to beat, I think it's more likely you're going to play a bit more, conservative and scared. So, interesting observation, I think, from Sassy, saying that they're playing like kittens, and they've got to fix that going forward.
Guys, I'm assuming this is like this in every sport, but the highs that Sen went through at the beginning of the year are the greatest. Okay, they feel so good. You feel like you're on the top of the fucking world. You feel like you could fly. You feel like you could swim, in my case. And then the lows, aka what's happening to them these last 2-3 months, are genuinely devastating. Genuinely, mentally, they can break people. And it's such a topic that's not talked about enough. How mentally difficult it is to get past those points and come out ahead and reset is so hard.
Gun buddies.
And I think Sen is going through one of those periods, and I don't think they're going to come out of it this year. Thoughts on Kaplan saying you just have to lock in after every loss? I mean, you guys are overly criticizing a team because they're losing. If they were winning, you wouldn't care if Kaplan was saying those exact words over and over again. Because they're losing, you choose to say, oh, could that be a reason? So people think of reasons as to why, but realistically, it could just be form related. There's so many things that are more realistically an issue with Sen.
So do you guys agree with FNS's perspective here on this Sentinels roster? Because he's been through these ups and downs of teams. You're dominating, you're on top of the world, you're looking absolutely fantastic. Then things start to fall away to some degree. You start to wonder, okay, exactly why have we fallen off? How can we get back to that point? Is it the meta? What do we need to change? Is the coaching staff doing the best job they possibly can? And all these other questions start to creep in. And then, of course, the confidence goes. And that is a big problem in and of itself. Can Sentinels snap out of it? Sure, they've done it before. They can play at that level they need to be at if they want to make it out of this group and make it deep in this tournament. It's absolutely in there somewhere. Whether they can achieve it, FNS is likely to say no. And, very much into your thoughts on that in the comments below. Crew played DRX this morning. At least my time zone, it was here in the morning. And Crew dominated them map 1. It was on the Haven, 13-2. Absolute bloodbath. And I was like, hang on a second. DRX, are they actually going to turn up this tournament? Turns out they did. Melter goes 22 in 4 map 1, but to be fair, that was Crew's map pick. When it went to DRX's map pick, then they actually bounced back. And I'm impressed, but in some degrees, by DRX's mental, because when you get 13-2 game 1, you then win pistol, lose the bonus round, or lose the conversion, and then, of course, the round after as well. You all of a sudden sudden thinking, damn, we might be cooked. But no, DRX, they lock in, they dominate the Abyss and then outwards. Flashback was a key part of that. Also, all the drama, thankfully, around the player on this team, I think that it was around Flashback possibly, that was resolved. And I think a lot of, seemingly a lot of what was reported around some of the drama that we talked about with DRX, they were doing their investigation. I believe that, it was clearly a misrepresentation of the situation that was going down, and therefore there's lots of talks about repercussions for those that talked about that situation. But look, DRX are here to play, Flashback's here to play, and dominates the Abyss, and then they frankly dominated the Bind as well. This first half wasn't even close, and they run away with the series. So Crew Esports, they've done better than they usually do at Champions. They usually turn up and win 0 maps. They did last year. This year at least they've done better than that, but it's DRX that are now 9-0 in opening games at international events. So pretty impressive stuff from them. That leaves the groups like this. So yes, Sentinels FPX comes up on the 8th of August, Gen.G Heretics on the 6th of August, much to be determined before then, including this game, Fnatic Bilibili, which is currently live as I'm recording this. It's just got underway. Bilibili have opened up with a 3-1 advantage on the Bind. It is their map pick. I'm expecting Fnatic to win, but at this point, who even knows what's going to happen over the coming couple of hours. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Me having no wait, let me load them. Me having all the Asian teams go out isn't racist. It's not racist, John. I'm not racist. I just don't think the Asian teams are good, bro. I think the Gen.G one is going to be an upset. And this is 50-50. This is 50-50.
He doesn't even. He said fuck calling them by regions. He just straight up says Asians.
This right here is
How
50-50.
can you not get cancelled?
FNS can win or FUT can win. I think
I simply can't. I can't.